What are Ripple's connections to the U.S. government and the U.S. Federal Reserve? Today, I want to go ahead and explore those connections and give you all that information and let you be the decision maker of if XRP and RLUSD will be the cryptocurrency of America truly. Let's go ahead and get into it really quickly here. So Edward Farino posts, the Federal Reserve mentions Ripple's cross-border payments in real time. XRP is a document called the U.S. path to faster payments. And this was actually mentioned in this document. This was what was mentioned. Ripple is a solution that empowers providers to make real-time cross-border payments. Cross-border payments today generally take 2 to 4 days to settle with limited visibility and status fees. Ripple enables full visibility into payment status, a certainty of fees, and settlement in real time. This was back, I believe, around 2017. Yes, July 2017. So it says today, this is the document I'm reading just so you know, where it says Federal Reserve Task Force, Ripple improves speed for cross-border transparency. So today, after 2 years of work, the Federal Reserve released its Faster Payments Task Force Action Plan for bringing faster payments to the United States, highlighting Ripple's ability to underpin the next generation of cross-border payments. Set up in 2015, after the Fed recognized that the need to spur improvements in payments, the task force brought together by a diverse group of 320 stakeholders, including banks, regulators, and end users, technology companies. Okay, so let me show you. Here is that report. Okay, this is the final report, part 1, of course. And you can actually look through this. There's a ton of information. What I want to do is I want to scroll down to the bottom of this report real quick, because I think that's where some juicy information is. But let me just go to show you kind of who was on here, right? Who were, oh, it has some information of what countries are moving to faster payments. And then here's all the companies involved. Okay, so it says Faster Payments Task Force roster. Now, I know I've talked about this a lot, but there's a lot of new people coming in. I think it's important to talk about this stuff. So I just want you to pay attention to some of these companies and these banks and these institutions, because I've never seen a group to pull together of quite such an incredible group. So, you know, we have all kinds of banks in here. We have Nacha. Nacha is a payment system in America. Of course, you have Ripple, US Bank, Suncoast Credit Union, a lot of credit unions and banks in here. ACI Worldwide, huge Ripple partner, okay? There's a lot of Ripple partners on here, just so you know. And I think this is where it could have started. But going down, CGI, I did a video that they processed up to $21 trillion a day. Citibank, the largest bank, one of the largest banks in the world, just bank after bank after bank, company after company after company. But the only thing I see here is one blockchain infrastructure company. Now, IBM is working with Stellar. Those connections need to be brought up. But you got JP Morgan, IRC Advisory. It is a group. Why would you have invited the blockchain infrastructure company if you didn't need what they're offering? So I just thought this was really interesting. You have Visa here. I think you have MasterCard a part of this as well. And it's incredible list, right? And just so you know, you can kind of go over here. You can click find page. You can click Ripple again. And, here you go. Ripple, Ryan Zagone. So I just want to show you that. So here you go. We'll put this out. He says, yes, Ripple has collaborated with the Federal Reserve on updating domestic payments document. Even central banks like the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve and the Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority have collaborated with Ripple connected to domestic faster payments updating. So Ripple's not only worked with the Federal Reserve, but they've also worked with the Bank of England, Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority also in helping them speed up their domestic payments, which is interesting, right? Because we always talk about central bank digital currency, right? And that, yes, too, there's two parts to that. One is that wholesale part, central bank to bank, right? That could be cross-border. And the second part is retail, me and you and the customers. And then here is David Andofato from the U.S. Federal Reserve. So the guy works at the U.S. Federal Reserve. The Fed couldn't delegate settlement to a third party like Ripple. Let me go ahead and play this so we can talk about it.
That is, people say, how can you trust, the Fed to do the bookkeeping? I mean, like I said, my response is, well, you don't expect the Fed to kind of steal your money. I mean, if the Fed can print all the money at once, it's not going to mess around. So, we have this big spreadsheet, the blockchain, if you want, but it's just managed by the Fed. And it's very cheap, much cheaper than Bitcoin, if you're willing to delegate the responsibility to a third party. But then the downsides to all of that, of course, is you'd actually, suppose you didn't want the Fed to be responsible for processing the payments. I mean, suppose, the Fed will likely impose some KYC restrictions on some purchases. They might not process some purchases that you might want to undertake. And so it was at that point that I said, well, we could, if we wanted to, extend the concept one step further. I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen, but just conceptually, you could imagine not FedWire for all, but kind of like a Fed coin, where what the Fed would do is actually just issue these, Bitcoin-like objects, and they would enforce a par exchange rate with the U.S. dollar. That would eliminate the exchange rate volatility. But they could delegate the clearing of these payments to some third party, some sort of Ripple-like protocol, or possibly even Bitcoin. I mean, we could delegate the responsibility of processing these electronic, Fedcoin payments to the miners. And the idea there would be,
So really quickly, Trump, hold on, I need to get on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. American crypto tokens, Trump tax free. I'm trying to bring up a special image that should have this stuff in it. Let's see. Okay, so when we're talking about US cryptos, this doesn't have all of them, but XRP, HBAR, Algorand, there's some also, I think, someone said Solana is US based, but out of all of these tokens, right, you have two of them that I know are working with central bank digital currency, which are HBAR and XRP. So I'd imagine you could have a system, because the America doesn't want a central bank digital currency, or at least the Trump administration doesn't want a CBDC. So if you were going to go to either these two companies and say, hey, we want to create a stable coin on your network for America, or, we want to create some type of whatever it is, I don't know, but these are the companies that they would go to, right? So you really have a 1 in 2, 1 in 4 chance of picking the right one. And if you own each one of these cryptocurrencies, you might have a real shot here at being the one that is used globally. There's also a little bit more information here too, but I think this is a lot of stuff that, I did talk to you about. This Federal Reserve Ripple 2025 explosive FedNow service XRP RLUSD runs on the ISO standard. Some 25% of financial institutions said that they're waiting for FedNow to deploy before finalizing a Ripple real-time payment strategy. So, when we go full on with FedNow, which I'm working on a video about FedNow, and, I'm going to go through and teach you all about it. But FedNow is an instant payment system in America. It's done. It's been done. They took a lot of the information and worked out of this faster payments task force and put it into FedNow. And hey, that system is up and running, and you can do instant payment, instant settlement, and you can use crypto on those rails. And yes, you can use XRP on this system because it has a lot of Ripple partners that are connected to it and banks. Chad Steingraber says the United States government is going to approve the systemic use of Ripple RLUSD as payment infrastructure. Now that is something that could absolutely happen. If the US wants to stay away from, cryptocurrency, they could go to Ripple and say, hey, we're going to use your stablecoin as the de facto, stablecoin. The whole only problem here is control, right? US wouldn't have as much control if they went with Ripple as a payment infrastructure. Right? You could use Ripple RLUSD in a payment, sending payments, right? But I don't think the government is going to give up control. What I think they could do is go to Ripple and say, hey, we want a token like RLUSD that we're going to use as a US stablecoin. Can you build it out for us? And then they can actually have control of the minting and creating function, right? Because Ripple has control of the minting and burn function for Ripple RLUSD. So just my two cents. This means de facto the XRP ledger becomes a US sanctioned blockchain. Very well could be. And you have, Stuart Alderati and this gentleman, I can't remember his name. Somebody let me know down in the comments, but Rick Ramaswamy, that could be his name. This guy is, isn't he in charge with Elon Musk of the Department of Doge, right? And he's, Trump listens to what this guy says. So he's involved in the new administration. It says, Anders X says, what's the thing with Ripple and US Treasury? 3 out of most recent additions to the Ripple board of directors have ties to US Treasury Department. That's what is also interesting, right? We've already heard the Rosie Rios clips. This used to be the treasurer of the United States under Donald Trump in his first term. Yes, there's a lot of money out in circulation with her name on it. And now she's on the board of Ripple, and she keeps talking about the train leaving the station. Sandy O'Connor here traces Treasury Markets Practices Group. You also have Craig Phillips here, counselor to Secretary of Treasury Steve Mnuchin. So interesting connections over time with all this stuff. According Matthew Liny put this out. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Ripple XRP is based on a consensus algorithm, and it's not controlled by a centralized institution or government. Users cannot invest in Ripple, and so users can invest in Ripple, the stock, through some partners. I know Ripple's kind of going back and forth on whether they're going to IPO in 2025. I don't think so. I don't think they will be. I think the market's starting to slow down a bit. And I think Ripple realizes that, but hey, I could be shocked. They might listen if they're working with the new Trump administration. The new Trump administration might say you need to be a public company in order for us to work with you. Who knows, right? We don't know what we don't know. And then Anderson X says another amazing timing for Ripple. Ripple custody. Banks will be able to custody crypto in the new Trump administration, combined with RLUSD, real world assets on top of RLUSD built on the XRP ledger, others powered by XRP as the bridge to sort all transactions. This is really an interesting time, isn't it? Lots and lots of opportunity out here for the tokens that we own. And that's why you've seen XRP go from like 50 cents to like 350 really quickly, is because people understand this. They're starting to wake up. Just remember, we are in a speculation market. And I do think we're going to go back down before we truly see Valhalla. Fed Governor Waller, supportive of tokenization and stablecoins. Ripple's stablecoin RLUC complies with all laws. We understand that. Also sees Jeremy Allaire, who is the founder of Circle USDC. And Anderson says, seems like great timing for Ripple and their RLUSD time being launched. US stablecoin legislation likely passed. So just interesting timing for all this stuff. This says Federal Reserve is working to integrate our Ripple into the system. It is into the system now. So is Hedera too. Main reasons why Ripple, along with XRP, is a strategic weapon for the US. Ripple has built the next generation B2B business cross-border payment system controlled by a US company. That is the main thing here. Now, I was thinking about this a lot, and I know that R3 has connections to XDC and the DTCC, but my question to you is, the DTCC is an incredibly important American financial infrastructure. Okay. XDC was created in Singapore. I don't know if they're going to feel comfortable. I'm sure this has been brought up, right? I don't know if they're going to feel comfortable using a non-American crypto asset that they have no control over to settle all this stuff. They could, right? That could be. But something pops up into my head with like a warning. And so I just wanted to bring that up to you. RLUSD is able to expand the usage of USD around the world, especially for other financial institutions and enterprises. Listen, there's a lot of banks in a lot of different countries under all kinds of different situations, right? We don't know if they want to shore their bank deposits up with US dollars. Maybe the currency in their current country is currently, inflation is out of control. They understand that if they don't make a move soon to do something like this, to get to a more stable currency, they could collapse. You never know, right? I'm just trying to understand and think about what some of the things would be to push countries maybe that are their finances in those countries are not as good. Inflation is soaring. Maybe they go to a more stable, gold, US dollars, right? Silver, whatever it is. Trump has clearly stated he will favor US-based crypto companies. This is why I don't think you will see XDC truly be a part of the DTCC, but I could totally be wrong. Also, you have Jack McDonald says, thank you, Federal Reserve Board of Government, right? Ripple has been meeting with these people constantly, okay? Constantly. If you're not working with these people, why do you keep meeting with them, right? That's how I think. Digital Chamber of Commerce, right? Jack McDonald, who's now on RLUSD. And also there is two bills with these two bills existing and one still making their way through the House, a reality exits where the Federal Reserve may not have their own CBDC platform. The necessity to outsource specific roles to a third-party provider such as Ripple is more of a reality. We know Trump is not going to approve a US CBDC, so they might third-party it through Ripple. Listen, the US needs a wholesale CBDC, right? They don't want to be left behind their other trading partners, okay? Australia, Japan, UK, Europe, right? Mexico, Canada, Brazil, they're all moving towards CBDCs. Now, the US going without one could pose a problem, but they could also process some of this payment stuff through FedNow. We don't really know what that would look like until we get into it. The Federal Reserve might use RippleNet to improve payments and make cross-border transactions faster and cheaper since laws like No CBDC Act and the Anti-Surveillance Act direct government digital currency platforms. Ripple system offers the solution. So Very interesting to see what these guys do. I'm not going to read all that. I do apologize. Yeah, let's go ahead and just end there. We have talked a lot about some of the similar stuff here. If you want, I will just kind of pause here and you can kind of take a look here what the rest of this was, what I was going to show you. I mean, you've already heard it all. What do you think is going to happen? Right? A lot of connections, and there's more connections than this, right? I just can't put together a 2-3 hour video. I thought this was the most relative stuff that you needed to see to better understand what you're looking at here. You're looking at a partnership that started, 2017 at the earliest, but I do think it started earlier than that. Okay. We're in 2025 now. That was 8 years ago, the Faster Payments Task Force. What do you think? I think Ripple's been working with the US government for a decade. And I think that says something. Now, HBAR, I don't know their connections with the governments. Maybe somebody else does. You can let me know down in the comments. But will it be Ripple and XRP? Sure looks like it to me. I don't know what it looks like it to you, but we'll see. Take care. Bye.